Rated T for teen.
My career has been a fight, a long, brutal, but necessary fight. I was told no more times than I can count, and every single time, I proved them wrong. WWE 2K26, pre-order now.
Hello, everybody. It's the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. We are at WWE's warehouse. Thank you, Ben Brown, for providing this wonderful setup. This is a WWE and Fanatics original production. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What Do You Want to Talk About? My guest today, quite the man in the news feed, and we just recently had his counterpart in the final match of John Cena's career on the podcast as well. One of my favorite people, a lot of your favorite wrestlers' favorite wrestler, former world heavyweight champion, intercontinental champion, all of those things. And one of my absolute favorite people, a style icon too. We might get into that here and now. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who's making all these kids cry these days. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Gunther!
Oh, thank you. What an intro. Thank you for having me.
Sometimes it's not there, you know? Even if it's someone you really know, and then you look at them, and you're, I also think the intros are becoming a problem, because it's like, let's just get to it. You know what I'm saying? Like not everyone, you know, it's wrestling though. So as we mentioned, here's, you know, the World Heavyweight Championship and the European Championship, the Intercontinental Championship. Do we call that the European Championship? The UK? That beautiful.
It was called the NXT UK champion, I guess.
What a nice belt.
It was, yeah. I liked it a lot. I don't even know. I asked them back then, like, I wanted to keep the originals.
Yeah?
You're never going to use it again, but they were very big on, like, no, we got to keep it in the archive. So I don't know. Maybe that's the one.
Well, I mean, what's to stop you here? You come in here. Do you have anything you could trade? Ben Brown's all about a trade.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, he's all about a trade.
Might be a good idea.
He also, under the, you know, off the books, even though this is now public and in the space, off the books every now and then will slide you something from your career that I got one, for example. Oval Intercontinental Championship, if you're looking for it.
Thank you for that.
I've got it, yes.
But I don't have that much memorabilia yet, I have to say. It's like I just walked around here a little bit and I saw all those like great items and I was like, I don't know, I don't have anything.
Have you ever been here before?
No.
Oh my gosh.
That's my first time.
Well, before we talk about this wonderful place, you have something special brought to us by our friends at Wheatley American Vodka. What is that?
This is a special drink, very fitting for me. It's called Blood, Sweat, and Causing Tears.
Wow.
So,
Blood, sweat, and causing tears.
I'm a bit thirsty anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers to you. Ba-boom. Thank you, sir.
Here we go. Salty. Very nice, as it should be.
That's a good one. Again, thanks to our friends at Wheatley American Vodka. I have my American Mule here, which is outstanding. Thank you to Bailey, who put this together. All right, so Blood, Sweat, Causing Tears. In classic Ric Flair sense of what's causing all this.
Yes.
All these tears, I would include my own in this. You have now just retired the greatest of all time, John Cena. How are you feeling?
Oh, I feel fantastic. Mm-hmm. And as you said, I could tell everybody was very, that day, strangely, it almost felt like more intense than WrestleMania that day.
Sure.
Like backstage, I could tell. And for me, I always catch myself in those moments because, I don't know, I don't make a secret about it. Like, I wasn't a big WWE guy when I wrestled myself and stuff.
Yeah. I
was always a big nerd for, like, Japanese wrestling and indie wrestling. That's what I always looked at. And especially when I was younger, like 18, 19, in my early 20s. So a lot of those, like, big memories that came with John, I didn't really live through this. I just saw it, like, I was reading results and stuff like that. And so I just catch myself in the middle of this, the emotional stone that I am, and everybody was like very worked up. But also for my own benefit, it was great to be the guy that can, pull the rug on everybody.
Don't you think maybe it's apt that, like you said, you weren't really big into WWE growing up, and all of John's milestones and things that were happening, it almost feels like that's appropriate that it was you versus someone. I have my match with him at SummerSlam, and it's filled with callbacks and emotion and drama, and definitely the heavy weight of knowing who he was to me and who he was to me at that moment as well, the teacher, the student, those things. For you, another day at the office.
Yeah, so that's true, because also you kind of like, you were there with him for a few years and stuff like that the whole time. He was like the top guy the whole time.
Oh my gosh, I drove him around, and I was wrestling Carlito in the second match, or who knows, it was changing on the regular, wrestling Fit, it was something like that, and him, Randy, him, Umaga, whatever it may be, every live event we did, he'd get in the car, and really more than anything, I felt like I was there to learn and be a wrestler on that card, but it felt like I was still driving the rock star around.
Yeah.
It was his show, especially during that time where a lot of freshmen on a varsity team, there was the top, and then there really wasn't that much else. So, yeah.
Yeah, see, I never had that with him, because I think from until the day of the match, I maybe said hello to him twice. That was all the interaction that we ever had. So
you can hear people collectively, more tears now. More tears.
So so basically just ran into it when it comes to him as a person.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a deal. I think it's the biggest thing I've done in my career. Like the first time I was ever part of something with like that magnitude, where I could really feel like it affects everybody.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, it's like when I talk to my friends about it and stuff, I chuckle a bit because I catch myself in the middle of that.
Of course. Well, you've chuckled quite a bit lately. It's a lot of smiles.
Yes.
Came out to a very unruly crowd, left the arena as a little viral video of you leaving the arena and it being a bit contentious.
Yes.
Did you feel, and I was going to ask you this, and you were surrounded by professionals and a really wonderful roster, but also a lot of young talent and a lot of actually young corporate in the WWE infrastructure. Did you feel there was a sense that this was a very real moment? Because I was looking at you at one point and I thought, he's kind of the most hated person in the building today, and also in a way the most envied person in the building today, the responsibility of all that. Did you feel, like you said, it felt bigger than WrestleMania, or it felt heavier than WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think heavier is a good term. But I gotta be honest, I love those situations. Like I'm somebody that's in general in life, I get bored by mundane stuff like very quick. Even like the other jobs I had before, it's like, okay, that's your responsibility. Okay, master that. What's next?
Yeah.
And if I get caught in a loop where it's kind of like, you just do busy work, it's the same old, and I get bored quickly. So I love those situations with a lot of responsibility.
I think you need those situations.
Yeah.
It's a sign of your career is something's happening with it, where you walk in and you know, hey, this is a big one today, where you look around and the iconography is you or your opponent. When you know a lot of people, as John Cena taught me, the flights for Saturday night's main event for all of us who were there were paid for by you and him. That was the match. That was the money match. That wasn't, there were other matches on the show, and I was very honored to be part of it. But something that's lost on a bit of the newer generation is not every match sells tickets. Yeah. And that match, that event, that actually sold tickets. And I was saying, you need those heavy moments, you need those milestones, because when you look at your body of work, you can look back and go, I'm way different. This is wild, and I don't know how I'm going to bring it up. But I landed in Louisville, Kentucky yesterday. I did a meeting with wonderful people at Wheatley American Vodka. And I used to be in developmental in Louisville.
Yeah.
And as we were landing, I was just looking out, asking myself, am I the same person? Because I'd hate if the answer was yes. Am I the same little kid inside, whatever, versus, or have there been some things along the way? And I mentioned that because I called you a style icon in your intro.
Very nice of you.
I feel like maybe it's a bit not spoken about in terms of you have this really, what would be the word, measured, but also kind of less is more style about it. But I'm pointing out this timepiece that's on your wrist as you have become the watch guy at WWE. What do you have?
As well, Rolex, what is it? GMT2.
GMT2?
Yes.
Rose gold?
Yes.
Is it a nickname, GMT2, or is it just a rose gold?
No, I don't think that has a, they call the other one, the two-tone, they call
the two-tone
root
and
beer.
the
They
root
call
beer.
it the root beer. I don't know if they call that one root beer.
It's
That's
nice.
definitely the root category, the root beer category. Yeah, thank you. It's a bit of a, as you know yourself, it's a nice thing, but
Yeah.
gotta stop myself a little bit.
Well, no, you're you know, it's you don't, because I mean,
It is. So you don't have to, but
What did you wear on the day that you and John Cena went into the ring?
also GMT, but the yellow gold one comes with the Jubilee bracelet.
Okay.
I like that one as well. Yeah, it's basically something I should say when I grew up. I don't know,
Yeah.
we were not, like I didn't grow up poor or something, but like also, especially as a young adult, I couldn't
Yeah.
afford anything. So now I'm very grateful for everything that's happened in my life, and I want to enjoy it a little bit.
So growing up, I say Vienna, Austria. Is that correct? In terms
Yes.
of what was there a specific suburb in Vienna where you were, like your town? What is your town, or is it Vienna?
In Vienna, they number the districts. The city has 23 districts.
Yeah.
They have a name, but usually when you talk about it, it's all numbers. And I lived in the 11th district. They
Okay.
call it Simmering. It's a blue collar part of town.
Okay. I worry that they're numbering the districts. It's very Hunger Games. The districts are numbered. Okay, so you were in 11.
Yes.
You were in 11. What was WWE's presence like in Vienna as a kid in district number 11? Was it there at all?
Yeah, on VHS. That's
Yeah.
where it existed, basically. When I grew up, like the tournaments were still a thing, like Otto Wanz, the tournaments
Oh
he
my
ran.
gosh, yeah.
I think they ran till like 97 or 98
Yeah.
in Vienna. And that was my first contact with it all. Because Otto Wanz is like in Austria, it's crazy. I mean, we're a small country.
Yeah.
But when you, and I don't know how it's now, because it's time moves on. But I remember that Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Otto Wanz, that's like what people know about wrestling.
Yeah.
He was such a big figure, and he was really good at promoting himself and promoting the sport and stuff. So that was my first contact, and that was, And since then, I guess that's where it's from. There was the whole ambiance with it was like an open air, it's like an ice skating spot.
Yeah.
So they ran the tournament in the summer, and it was all open air, just a little roof over the ring. And I still connected very, very specific atmosphere about it.
Yeah.
I loved it back then, but that was the first time I got in touch with it. And then later on, friends had like VHS about WWE back then, like mid 90s. But it was kind of hard to get your hands on it, more or less.
You're the first person who's come on the pod who's talked about Otto Vance.
Yeah.
And I feel like I only know the myth, the lore. I've heard Fit talk about him. I've heard Mr. Regal talk about. That's a big chunk of, we don't get that in America. Not unlike, very different, but not unlike, I didn't know anything about Big Daddy.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Regal's telling me all about Big Daddy, and I'm going down this rabbit hole. It was so different in terms of what you had. What age did you start training?
I have 2005, so I think it was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're 17 and you're looking at training to become a pro wrestler, did you have a goal? Did you have a thing you wanted to get to?
No. And that's like, I think something that a lot of the boys from over here don't understand is like, all of this, that's not a realistic option if you grow up as a young boy in Vienna.
Okay.
Because it's so far away.
Yeah.
And even if you think back, like WWE, like when did they really open up to the outside, like to the indies and stuff like that? So now I just wanted to do it and started training, and just stuck to it. I was like never, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to go. Over the years, my big goal became like, hey, I would want to quit working a job and just do this as a profession. That was the big goal, and that was unachieved. Like all of the older boys, when I started, were more or less leftovers from the Otto Wanz time.
Yeah.
They barely made it somehow. Like officially, they made a living of it, but what living? So that was my big goal. I was like, hey, if I can turn this into a profession, then that would be a dream scenario. I never had that wide view on possibilities.
So that's crazy to me, and never having the wide view, but also having talked to you a bunch of different times. You're frustratingly, you say something like that? No, wasn't sure what it would be. You're frustratingly talented. I don't know. There are people who can just get up and do this, and then there's people who require all this prep and all this training and all these voices around them. Like myself, I need a Michael Hayes, I need a Paul Heyman, I need them all around me. What are we doing? And you just breeze right through. Can I ask you I don't think I've ever asked anyone this question on the podcast, but I'll just ask you, Do you think you're the best wrestler in the world?
See, I don't think about that. I don't know. I don't.
No, but if you had to really look at it, if I'm just
have to really
asking
look
you,
at
not
it.
even a contentious, competitive question, just if you think looking at the entire, what you know of that's out there, what's on the independent scene, what's elsewhere, and what's here, do you think you're the best wrestler in the world?
At least one of. It's hard to say.
At least one of us. I mean,
Yeah.
being in the discussion for it
Yeah.
is I think it's terrifying in that sense, in terms of, I would tell you, you're definitely in the discussion.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly why you were the man in the spot against John Cena. But just the idea that you're not really thinking of it for you don't have the wide view. Do you think you have a wide view now? Do you now taking what you've done, world champion, intercontinental champion for an absurd amount of time, just are you going to take what you've done now? What's the plan? Do you have a goal? You mentioned you get bored real quick.
Yeah.
So not looking for a spoiler here or anything of that nature, but is there another goal, another mountain to climb? There has to be.
Yeah, but not in sense of like I never had like that list or that's what I want to achieve. I want to win this or whatever. It's more like, I don't know. I always kind of like want to grow in the responsibility I can take on.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And
yes.
I feel like that's what kind of like drives me. Where it's like, okay, I'm mastered like this very difficult situations. Okay, now I can master something even more difficult. I see it kind of like in that sense. And I guess in our world that combines, that automatically means like titles, big matches, and all of that. But yeah, I think I've literally done it all the year. I don't know, I've just enjoyed it. Like I always wanted to do it. And once I get out there, that's where, I love it. It's like it is. I think I never had a match in my whole career where I went like, I felt like before, like, I'm not feeling it today. But once I'm in the ring, it's like, we're good. Like I'm having fun.
Well, it's home.
Yeah.
John Cena, when he came on the podcast, referred to your respect for the ring and the sacred, the mat, and what it is, and the juxtaposition of styles. Here's a random, just something that has me thinking, because I know there's people in your life, but are you running a one-man show here? Just a one-man wrecking crew? Or do you have a circle here at WWE, a crew that keeps you from getting too far here, keeps you level? Do you have that?
In the company itself?
Yeah.
I think not really, no. I feel like if there's someone I talk to, sometimes it's Heyman. He's good for advice sometimes for certain situation. And not just like whatever, the daily work, like promos, whatever, but just like the overall
the big picture
view, the big picture. No, otherwise, Marcel, obviously, Kaiser, he's my best friend, so he's good at giving me perspective. And otherwise, no, not really.
I tons of respect for Marcel. And did you guys come over together?
No, he went earlier.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. We really just started getting going with WXW. It really picked up, and then he got offered a deal, and he was like, I gotta take it, and he wanted to take, which I understand. And I was always the guy who was like, no, I understand, stay. We go later. But I totally get his decision. Everything worked out for him. But yeah, he was maybe 3 years earlier than me. He came over. He moved to Orlando, started in the PC. So he had to kind of like, that was the thing for him, because he came in before, when you were already somebody on the indies, you could come into NXT and have a better position already. Yeah. And he came in shortly, basically before that. Like the indies haven't really taken that much off in Europe, and also the system was still a little bit different. So he had to start from zero in NXT and just do that whole thing. So like he really swallowed his pride on that, and I respect him for how he's done it, because he was already wrestling like, I don't know, 8 years when he signed. So and then start from zero, like learn how to roll and learn how to take a bump and stuff. Yeah.
Do you see big things for him?
For myself, 100%. I think he's underratedly charismatic.
Yeah.
And he's a really good talker. Like he's, I always tell him, it's like, you need to go to Hollywood at some point because he's very
Yeah.
good. He's got something for the whole acting thing. Like I always tell him, like I think he would have been a amazing like theater actor or something like that. Because he's very talented with languages too and stuff. So very 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 talented person. When it comes to the wrestling side, of course, like he might be the only European second generation guy going right now. Is there another one? No, I don't think there's another like with a.
I love him.
The son, yeah.
I just enjoy watching too. There's certain people that you don't have necessarily a relationship with, or it's not an active dialogue, but you just kind of watch from afar. And he's one. I always look around, and it's a silly thing to ask myself, but I wonder, okay, if I was to run a company, if I ran a wrestling company, who would I want? Because it's actually less people than you think. You really, you don't need as many people as you think. You need really good ones. And he's just someone he's taking what he has currently, clearly running with it. But I wanted to hear your perspective on him because I think there's big stuff for him.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's like, that's like the trickiest part sometimes when you're like really good friends, but you're kind of like in different positions for a while.
Gosh.
Because out of my perspective, it's like super hard to be like, I'm the guy who skipped all of the system and who skipped all of that.
Yeah.
Waited out and it's gonna come. So it's kind of like, who am I to tell him like, gonna come, my friend? You know what I mean? It's like the difficult situation. But he's very good with me sometimes to keep me grounded.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. I was like, there's got to be someone in his circle that keeps it. And it's not always keeping. Sometimes it's actually gassing you up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need I think lately I've liked a crew around me that's tell me something nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm already beating myself half to death here. Tell me something good.
This episode is brought to you by WWE 2K26. You want to talk about legacy? You want to talk about the moments that define your life? That's what WWE 2K26 is all about. In this game, the show never stops. You want to talk about history? WWE 2K26 has the biggest roster ever assembled. Over 400 playable WWE superstars and legends, from the rebellious heart of the Attitude Era to the undeniable champions of today. You want to talk about action? WWE 2K26 has brand new match types like I Quit, Inferno, and the 3 Stages of Hell match. Stack tables, break the rules, and embrace the unexpected. You've got the power to turn up the heat in every single corner of the ring. Control your universe, craft your legacy, show the world what you're made of. Pre-order WWE 2K26 King of Kings, Attitude Era, or Monday Night War editions to get up to 7 days of early access starting March 6th.
You mentioned skipping the system, which is something crazy. It's not in the case. I did not realize you were not NXT champion. It just felt like you would have been NXT champion.
No, I've only been there for 2 months.
You just passed right through.
Yeah, when I moved over to the States, it was in January, and then I did NXT.
Yeah.
Until Mania. There was the Mania you returned in Dallas, and then I started the week after.
I want to ask you about moving over, but I also my knowledge of you, I know that you were PWG's champion at one point.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people on here who did stuff at PWG. What was your experience like? As serious as you take wrestling and as sacred as the mat is in terms of PWG. I mean, PWG also treated certain matches. It was a sacred ground, the wrestling part of it. What was your experience like that being, I don't know how much of America you knew at the time.
Yeah. Not so much, to be honest, a little bit, but it was definitely my first California experience, more or less. So it was
Did you go
cool.
to Venice Golds and all that?
Yeah, of course.
I always, it's
the
funny.
boys.
It's always you see like the international talent. They still check all the, hey, we're at Venice Golds. They still do all the things, and I love that. Okay.
But to be honest, like Venice Gold's Gym is like the only thing I ever did, like in Los Angeles, like sightseeing wise. I think I've never been in Hollywood either. Like I never went. But it was like, PUG. The thing is, like, it was cool because it felt like a little bit of an adventure too, because you go to that hotel there, whatever they had at the airport, and the van picks you up. You go to that, whatever. I don't even know what the place was in Reseda.
Reseda. What was that famous?
It was some, what do you call them? Armory or something? No, it's not an armory.
No, it was a club, we'll figure it out, but it's demolished. It's non-existent.
Yeah, I think it's gone now.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a big adventure, so I liked it. And yeah, wrestling wise, it was fantastic for me. I was surprised. I kind of like Super Dragon was like really, he was really excited about me coming and stuff because all this stuff I always saw, I was always kind of like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what is this?
Sure.
Because you just see the worst of it often. And,
Of course.
I only remember the year I came. I've been told I'm going to be part of that big 10-man tag on the third day of Bola, where they do all the goofy stuff.
All the goofy stuff's in that one, yeah.
And I saw that did the duck walk together. And on the first day, I was asking like, who's going to be in that match? And then I got to them. I was like, none of that shit is going to happen on Sunday. I say it already. I say it already. But no, otherwise it was great. We had a good crew.
Yeah.
Group of good guys there. So I always had a really good time there.
I mentioned you're a lot of favorite wrestlers' favorite wrestler, and I give you an example. I've exaggerated the story for the purposes of my needs.
Yeah.
But I remember catering one time. We were on a European tour, all of us, and we were doing really well. Great crowds, and I think I might have been wrestling solo. And I came in, and you and Sami Zayn, another wrestler's wrestler, with his own unique personality, we're having a conversation, and gently implied that my work was lazy, and I remember like making a joke about it and being like, like I was letting everyone know, like they're over here talking about me not putting in, like not changing things up on a nightly basis, do it, rinse and repeat, whatever it may be. But there was a small shred of truth to it, and I thought, oh well, all right, Gunther's going to be watching at the monitor. I will pull out a couple changes. And I think even that night that I changed a bunch of stuff. I come back and you hadn't watched any of it. I'm like, we did a whole thing. We did, but I really like that because I feel like that keeps you. There are others like you as well that keeps you on your toe. Bret Hart was like that when he would come back and watch us. The art of what we do, if you want to call it that, or the structure of what we do and the change, and you being one to get bored. I'm not doing the same thing each night and changing it up. I appreciate having you in every locker room. You remember the Royal Rumble in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Yes. I remember it for a couple reasons. I was so excited, to win it. But also, I remember they did AI, or I don't even know if we would say AI, digital pyro off the roof that wasn't real. It's still it taints every time I've ever seen the clip of like, oh man, that was great, what a great moment. Then they show this outside shot that is just clearly, it looked like, gosh, Matty Cox put it together on his.
Yeah, the thing is, like, pyro doesn't hit if it doesn't make sounds, right?
That's the other thing. You need the mortars.
Yes,
you need the mortars to go off. I believe, I don't know if it's on my sheet here. I believe you still hold the record, correct, for the longest in the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, it was at that time, yeah, for sure.
Has it been broken?
I don't think so then.
I was of the thought it couldn't be broken, and it was because we ended up doing a bit of a singles match.
Yeah.
Once I got in there, because I felt so strange. I'm coming out at the end, and then
I remember that, and that's I kind of like how that. I feel like that record happened was that whole thing about us having a bunch of time at the end.
Yeah.
Because that was my point the whole time, because I was kind of like still new, and some guys told me, it's like, it can't be too long.
Yeah.
I was like, he's your guy. He's the top guy returning, and he walks in 30. He's got to overcome something. Otherwise, it's just handed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm glad we did it. And yeah, at the end, I never had like a record or something in my mind. They just told me when I came back.
Well, I'm curious. I know someone right now is looking it up, but I'm curious because I always felt a little bit of pride in the fact that there was a discussion that day. Yes, you do hold the record, and I think you will hold the record for some time, because there was a discussion that day, and I don't know, we could just get right to it. And it felt the same exact way you did. No, we need to get in there.
Yeah.
And I needed it. I was coming back from injury. I mean, I told people the first time you chopped me, my chest had been ruptured and destroyed.
Yeah.
And to come back, and the first thing we do is get in there with someone who's chopping trees down with that, and I came alive.
Yeah.
I need and this, I know people watching may not understand or may even poke fun at the statement. I need my wrestling to be real.
Yeah.
Right? And that was one where I thought, oof. there it was.
And there is something to it, because sometimes you're in there with guys where they don't really like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And you just whack them real good one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're awake, and then and then the match gets better. So sometimes that helps a lot.
So you being someone known for the big chop, as you just pointed out, is there do you have a kind of a, you don't have to give me because it's the most annoying question wrestlers will ever get asked, but do you have a top 2, top 3 kind of guys who are throwing chops? Is there somebody you saw throwing chops that you thought, I want, I have a couple that are not here chop wise.
Yeah. I was a big Kobashi guy
Sure.
the whole time.
Okay.
So that's where I would say that's where it came from.
Okay. I thought there's 2 guys who've chopped me like you chopped me. But not as good as you chop me. I'll just be straight. Your chop is the chop. Chris Hero was one.
Yeah.
And then JT Dunn.
Yeah.
And the only way even at a wrestling school I could teach, hey, if you don't have a good chop, go overhand, keep it above the nipple, whatever. Like I could give some bit of a directive, but I remember explaining to people there's these knife edge chops that Steamboat's throwing.
Yeah.
That it's more this big motion and it's
Yeah.
powering through. But then there's these stoppers, is what I call them, which Chris Hero was someone, and you, the same thing, where it's flat.
Yeah.
And it's bam, and it's right there, and it stops you.
Yeah.
It's an offensive move that's beyond like the sound.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actual
Yeah.
behind that. Yeah, those your chop definitely has woken me up. Yeah.
The thing is, like, with chopping people and stuff, I think what back then in Europe, often we wrestled in, like, I don't know, small gymnasiums. There's 100
Yeah.
people there. If you chop somebody real good and you get a good noise of it, yeah, but that's more, you get more reaction for that than you get for a lot of the other things you do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very happy that, that still works here now too, because obviously in a bigger building it's different. But yeah, it's I always liked to use very basic instruments to still try to achieve a big reaction.
It's a really great way to put it. The basic instruments. Are you getting a lot of people? I don't know if you get this, but you've done a ton of press. You're out there. You're very much one of the faces of the company and always leading forward so well. Are you getting asked to chop people a lot?
Yeah,
but
I never do it.
Never do it. And why do you never do it?
Because I'm a professional and they're not.
That's a great answer.
As easy as it is.
It's a great answer.
Like, I always found it so weird that they were like, I've been on so many indie shows where wrestlers would be like, okay, $10 or 10 pounds, then I chop you.
Yeah.
And they would chop 50 people in a row and are happy to make a little bit of money off that. And I think that's just, you got to draw a line there.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to bust my ass in training and all of that for so many years to learn it right, just to goof around with the fans afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels wrong.
I was just curious of people because the other day, sometimes you get that morning news guy or you get that media where that's the only idea they had. That's the and it becomes like, and then you've got the WWE rep with you, of course, who is no, absolutely not. But then part of me is thinking, it would just let's pick this guy up, do an airplane spin, something. If that's all I can get out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, I think I think we moved on from that stuff a little bit where it's like.
One of the reasons we moved on is because of people like you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this term before, but just old school vaudeville style territory wrestling, the foreign menace.
Yeah.
Right? You're not that.
No, I'm not a foreign menace. I always get a little bit annoyed because when they go like, oh, he's just a bad foreigner. I try to avoid everything that has to do with a flag or something. I mean, they put it on my trunks when I started out. They really wanted to have the flag on my whatever. I got rid of it as soon as I could because it just doesn't do anything. It's not 1990 anymore. And I think today it's about the person.
Yeah, you're the modern man, dude.
Yeah.
And the modern, not a lot of people will like this. Gen X, and they're a little bit more community sense. But the modern, I want a winner. This is a winner. I'm a winner. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I mean, like your drink, blood, sweat.
I do like it. It's almost done.
And causing tears. Yeah, again, brought to us here by Wheatley American Vodka. Yeah, no, you don't check. I think for years, and I had actually heard my dad and other promoters talk about this for years. That's what they were really looking for.
Yeah,
is not a stereotypical, not a generalization of what Americans don't know outside. They actually were looking for somebody who came in and was so sleek. So that's the heat almost.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be, but that's the heat. So educated.
Yeah.
So that you know, to a degree, looking down.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, you know, there's this element of like,
No,
oh
I get
my
what
God.
you mean.
Yeah. No.
No, I agree. And yeah, it's still, I gotta be honest, it's still, yeah, sometimes it still sticks, that whole like foreigner thing. But then on the other hand, it's very stereotypical, and I think it's a little bit like, I guess it was more accurate like in the 80s or something like that. I feel like now America is such a diverse country and stuff like that. I don't know, depending where you're at, but
Yeah.
we had a place up like in the Northeast a little bit or something. I barely met an American person there. There's
Yeah.
always somebody from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's such a diverse place, I think. It doesn't matter where you're born in the world. Home will always be home,
Yeah.
and nothing will ever be able to replace that. It does not matter. Even if you come up in a country that's poor and
Yeah.
you didn't have a good upbringing or something, that feeling of home, nothing can replace that.
Yeah.
Um,
And speaking of home, we WWE goes to Vienna. Do you enjoy those shows when you get to go home?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. Especially Vienna. I was so proud last time actually because we doubled the house almost from like the one live show to the
Heck
other.
yeah.
I was really happy about that. We had the Wiener Stadthalle was sold out.
How do you say it one more time?
The Wiener Stadthalle, the Vienna City Hall,
Okay.
was sold out. I was really happy about that. So yeah, that's cool coming
Yeah.
back there, because that was also something was like I always kind of like, not a goal, but I always like dreamed about it. Like one day you're gonna have a match in that
Yeah.
venue, and I didn't put it on like for who but one day you're gonna wrestle in there.
That's a goal. Yeah.
I always thought. So no, going to Vienna is really cool, and it's so Austria is so funny because it's a bit behind,
Yeah.
and there was that one reporter from the big newspaper they have there, and he was already writing about Otto. Like he worked there for 35 years or something like that. So he was all excited, and he always called me
Yeah.
up and be like, "Anything new? Can we do something? And when are you coming again?" And they would always write big stuff about it. And it was so cool because the style it was written was still like he would still use like old terms
Yeah.
for certain stuff. Austria is old school. it's a bit.
It's a very
behind all the
so
time.
my discovery. I went to Vienna. WWE did a tour, and I was wrestling. I was tagging with Bob Holly, and it was part of a big tour where I really was so naive to the rest of the world. One of the greatest gifts of my life was WWE sending us everywhere we could, so I could learn
Yeah.
about all these places the best I could. I could see them. I could understand a bit more. But what surprised me is I had been told the German crowds in Germany were going to be a little bit more subdued, a little bit harder to bring out of their shells. I don't know if you know that story. Marcel's grandma, I tried to make laugh for like 15 minutes in a match with The Miz. I think.
It didn't work.
Yeah, I don't think I got one smile. But I'd heard it was similar. And then I remember going to Vienna, and the place wasn't. They were loud.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
They were really, really enthusiastic. I actually specifically remember Umaga, and maybe because even then we were trying to figure out, is there like an Otto, the big barrel-chested type intimidating force that he was, but he had tagged in. He was doing a match with Snitsky. He had tagged in. He was a bad guy. Crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
So they did the right thing. Snitsky tagged himself back in. Boo. Umaga tagged himself back in. Yeah. And they just worked and they worked. And I think they went home.
Yeah.
They were wrestling like London and Kendrick or something. And they went home.
Yeah.
But I just remember watching that and thinking, this crowd is awesome. It's one of my absolute favorite crowds.
Yeah.
And that building, it's always that same building, right?
Yeah, it is. They usually go there, and it is true because we're very very, very close to Germans.
Yeah.
But also we have that Eastern European influence, which
Yeah.
is already more lively.
Yeah.
Also, you have the South, like Austria is basically like it's that transitioning country from like Germany to Southern and Eastern Europe.
Sure.
So you catch a lot of that culture too, and that's definitely more, a little bit more passionate and stuff.
Yeah.
It's also something, I lived in Germany for a long time, and people there are more like save your money and a little bit more stingy about stuff, and it's harder for them to have a good time, I think, while Austrians, it's like you go out, you have a good time. That doesn't matter what you do or how much money you have available. You're still going to spend a little bit of it to go out and have a good time. There's also like still it's so old school. There's no such thing as like let's meet up for a coffee with your friend. No, we're going to meet up for a couple of beers and
Sure. Yeah.
There's none of that. It's I love it. I love going back, and maybe it doesn't happen often. Maybe once or twice a year.
The throwdowns are on, and WWE merch at Fanatics is 30% off with Pays, a fast online checkout offered by banks and credit unions. Snag Cody Rhodes t-shirts, title belts, snapback jackets, or swag for more of your favorite stars, all 30% off. With Pays, your actual card numbers aren't shared with merchants, so you can check out with added security and rock your fandom like a champ. Use Pays with code PAYSPERKS for 30% off at Fanatics until March 31st, 2026. Terms apply at fanatics.com/PaysPromo.
I was thinking this on the way here because I've been really happy, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, and if you do, totally okay.
No, of course.
I was really always happy that every now and then you would come to me with a question, and I thought, I can help. That's a question that I can help. You'd ask, and it was never about wrestling. It was a question about WWE and question about the corporate ladder, the talent ladder, all the things. And I always was really proud, or at least would try my best. I have the experience. I can help him with that question. But the excuse me, the thing I was thinking about was, in terms of you here, is there someone in your life or someone in your career that you look up to? Because I feel like so many people look up to you, and I feel like so many people also just look at you and assume very much his own.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is there someone who's been a guiding light for you, or just a motivating factor? Doesn't have to be a wrestler. I don't know, family, whatever it may be. I was curious just on the who do you go to in your moments, or not even who do you go to? Who do you look to?
Well, it's a good question actually, because I don't really have I had like mentors along the way, I would say, but right now, like in the last, I don't know, I guess like 10 years almost already, not really. I don't know. I try to figure out things myself. But yeah, I definitely had funny enough, one of the people that kind of shaped me the most was just my boss at that logistics job I had at some point. He was a very smart guy.
What's his name?
Bernd Burmeister.
Yeah?
Is his name.
And this was at a logistics job?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I didn't have a very tight relationship with him, but there was a few times I went to him and he really helped me out and gave good advice, and a lot of that, yes, that applies to everything in life sometimes, especially. And I feel like, because I was not in a managing job, it was lower tier, but I had responsibility over a few people and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of stuff when it comes to responsibility and dealing with people, all of that applies in wrestling as well, even though it's a different setup. So that helps a lot. But I think right now it's mostly it's either I talk to either Marcel or my wife.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I converse the most with.
Does she love what you do?
Yeah. She wrestled herself, so and she had to stop, so she's kind of I feel like a lot of people could turn bitter on it, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
And we're in a different stage in our life too and everything, but she loves it for me. It's kind of I'm a very blessed person, because I know sometimes the guys, it's hard with their other half at home with the travel and being away, and I don't have that issue. She even right now, I'm not seeing them for a month because they're still in England, but it's never a headache or something. All I hear is support and go get it and all of that. So that's a very important factor, by the way.
Oh my gosh!
If the home is not a supportive environment, then that anchors you a lot. So that's a big game changer for me.
I don't know if these two relate, but maybe they do, maybe they don't. But one of the things that the world saw, which I'm glad you enjoyed, Blood, Sweat, and Causing Tears.
Can we order one more here?
We can absolutely order you one
you.
more. Yes, it's inbound.
Thank you.
The world saw the physical transformation that you went through.
Yeah.
And I had seen all facets of you because I actually watched you wrestle live on a show, but like I had seen what you were doing overseas.
Yeah, we had you at WXW.
WXW, which I always love. WXW let WWE use the footage from 16 Karat, or it was 16 Karat?
Yeah.
Like for my documentary, because they were an incredible crowd.
Yeah.
And I, again, didn't know what I was walking into with that. They were just an incredible crowd. That's the first time I ever crowd surfed. And it's the first time I ever realized, oh, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like if you give them enough of an Iggy, they will actually get you all the way back to the ring. One of my absolute favorite moments. But again, we all watched this physical transformation, which I believe is 65 pounds. You were 65 pounds heavier?
Oh, could be. I'm really bad with numbers. If you
it's just
and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I must have been around. I'm now between 230 and 240 all the time, and I was 300 easily at the highest. So yeah.
And you know, I'm real petty and real judgy when we're on the road. And if I go to the gym, you know, there's always a local gym that somebody provides the boys.
Yeah.
If I'm in there and I don't see anybody, I'm thinking, what's going on? Where's the rest of them? Like, where the rest? You know,
where are they?
Bron Breaker's always in there, so I always tell him, you know, LA Knight's always in there. You're another one. You're always, you and Marcel. There's always like an effort to be the healthiest, be the most fit. Because today, productivity wise in the ring, we have to be. You can't pick somebody up. You can't catch Javon flying 90 feet in the air. You can't do any of that unless you actually have the base and the skills. But was there a reason for this turnaround? Because so many people, I'm sure you've heard, they wax poetic about past and the lore of people before they came up, or did you see such and such before? He was even better. She was even better. What was your reason for it?
I thought, you know what? You go on television now. It's like, I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
and it's about time. And just for me, it's like, because I always felt great. I always in the ring also. I moved well, and stamina was not an issue.
Sure.
So I felt good, but it was like, you know what? It's going to be overall the better decision to do that. So that was basically the driving factor. And then obviously, I had the guys around back then, and they pushed me too. And Marcel was actually doing it first. He was like because that's the thing. Marcel's like a body type that he really had. If he wants to get big, it's a struggle for him. Like he has to really want it. So if he just eats normally, he will rather lose weight than gain weight.
Yeah.
And he just had like a long time behind him where he managed to break through the threshold of like being comfortable eating more. So he was a little bit like, he was big, but he wasn't really defined. And I actually told him, it's like, hey, if you do a diet, you would be so ripped and would look even bigger. And then he did it. And I was like, and he was then kind of like, man, I think maybe you should too. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So that's how it all happened. But it was the thing is like, it's a bit of a slippery slope sometimes because it's a big factor for us, like to be in shape, and it's a big factor, but it's like also we're not bodybuilders. And it's so hard to judge yourself, like where your sweet spot is.
Yeah.
Because when you look yourself in the mirror, it's always like, oh shit, I still.
Yeah.
And I should do more. Well, objectively, everybody else tells you, no, you look great.
You're great. Right.
What are you doing, right? So that's like the downside of that a little bit, because once you're really in that, because when you do, you know it yourself, if you do like a real strict diet and stuff for a few months, you're really like in the, like you have tunnel vision basically.
Yeah.
It's everything. You got to adapt your whole day to just, I don't know, get my 5 meals in, get my training in and all that stuff.
The guys out there by the ring with their meal prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
I did the same. I always brought my ready to cook meal. It's miserable. It's not a nice.
No, you can feel someone's frustration just carrying around some Tupperware.
Yeah.
Or the big, amino bottle or whatever the heck they have. Yeah. But it's a lot of the successful guys.
I know.
That's what's going on.
And the things like the results are great, but
you can bring that in. He got a new.
But it's also for us.
Thank you,
it's almost like unrealistic, because even like the best bodybuilder in the world gets in shape once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But our thing is we got to be in shape all year round.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just factually not realistic.
It's crazy.
That is not possible.
Oh man, it's so funny too when people will be who are outside my world be like, "You got a show this weekend," and I always inside just groan
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, there's a show every weekend.
Yeah.
There's a show it's every Monday. It's every and find, like you said, the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I've found that, because thinking about your physical transformation, I do think there's something to be said for when you see someone change, you know that they can do the work.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did it. I don't know what the purpose, but WWE recently did the WWE ID program, right? And they made the Nightmare Factory one of the schools an ID program. There were so many kids who had a lot of experience that I suggested maybe him, maybe her. The one that interests them, a guy named Mike Cunningham, who got the WWE ID deal and does Evolve. I think outside of being talented, coachable, has an it factor to him and just a good pick. I actually think the thing that they looked at was the fact that he got in great shape.
Yeah.
He said, okay, bet, and got in great shape. And that is just an old school way of when you see someone dialed in.
Yeah.
When you see someone locked in, like, oh, they're going for it.
But it is a little bit. It's like it can be a deciding factor, but it's not automatically, because that's because if you say if there's a group of 3, let's say, and they're all equally talented, but only one is in shape, the one who's in shape will be the one who gets the chance.
Sure.
But if you, don't have certain things, it doesn't matter how good in shape you are. It's not gonna get you where you want to get to.
Yeah.
So it's important, but then on the other hand, it's not the main thing.
No, not at all. But I'm almost, you would hate this and you would hate working with them, but I'm almost looking for us to just get some jacked up bodybuilder dudes again, like real 90s, like ones that all the boys can't stand.
Yeah.
Just somebody like, look at the look. Look at that.
Yeah.
And then we all have to figure out how to do it. Because that is now, I would say, hopefully you're not thinking of someone, I'd say it's missing.
Yeah.
The old, just the legit bodybuilder type. Like, look, he looks great.
Yeah, I mean, that's our wellness policy. That won't happen.
Yeah, no, it won't happen. Yeah, no, that is,
that's
the bodybuilders are all out. Yeah.
You got to get a natural bodybuilder, but they're not that big. So that's the...
Yeah, no. I heard this term the other day and I
difference.
hated it. Because I always, I use the same, there's like 2 pictures I look at in the physical. I want to get shredded by X. I want to be, one is Triple H at WrestleMania 18, which is just absurd. And then the other is Stallone from 3, where his face is like so lean, you can see his cheekbones. But yeah, I heard this term the other day. Somebody was describing how at WWE, you may not be in shape, but everyone who is in shape just has an athletic build.
Yeah.
I hate the term athletic build.
There's something to it.
It is. No, it is. But I'm like, man, I don't know. I know it's not going to happen, but I just want one bodybuilder back in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Just one full-blooded.
Tear his pec 6 months in.
Really, exactly. Like, well, that's also the thing. You look at him and you're like, brother's going to tear his tricep just getting in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like brother's going to, so no, we don't have those anymore. But do we? Am I missing? Is there one out there? No. The bodybuilders, they're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They went away.
It's true.
An asteroid hit the earth.
But it's like also like, I think what we do now, the style has changed so much. It's like you got to be mobile and you got to be agile and you got to be able to, move.
You have to be an athlete.
Yeah.
And then you get these, the NIL and the super athletic kids at NXT.
Oh yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But that's also something. It's like whatever you do as a kid when you start out, sports wise, like that kind of like build that's gonna stick with you for the rest of your life. Yeah. So it's unfair. They're all coming in.
When you were a youngster, did you play any sports?
Yeah, football.
Yeah.
Soccer. Everybody understands. I was a goalkeeper for, I don't know, I think I started with 6 years old until I was 16 or something. That was my big passion first. Like, obviously, football in Europe, that's the sport. Yeah. My mom was actually, she played herself, and she's a coach now no way. Yeah, she's got a girls' team, like kids' team. And
what does Mama Gunther think of all this?
They're very happy now. Yeah. At the beginning, they were a bit concerned.
Well, grandparents too, like. Yeah.
I mean, that's grandparents can't grasp it. It's like, I was literally visiting my grandmother from the father's side when I was in Austria before I came back. We were in Vienna, and she's still to this day, because she grew up with the family business, and that's the one line to go professionally, and nothing else is going to work out. And she still asks me like, so once you stop, how are you going to make money? how are you gonna
It's the best. Yeah.
at my wedding? Like we
Yeah.
had a very nice wedding. She and I got married at the Four Seasons in London
no.
and stuff. And
They judged you.
no, she was like, "Did you win in the lottery or something?"
Yeah.
Like, how is this? I mean, I know you don't have a real job, but how did that happen? So yeah, you can't really explain it,
Yeah.
right? So,
I brought my mom to Cardiff, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have her travel like I travel, and I really want this for her." And it was all the, we did like the Windsor suite coming into London, a couple privates, not just. We did a plane that was not just business and economy, but had a first. Put her in first. She got her pajamas, all the nonsense. And I thought she was having the time of her life. This is my mom. I'm of course gonna break the bank for my mother. Like this is how we do it. This is it. The greeters at every airport. She was just in her element. But then immediately when she came back, you know how parents are and like grandparents are. Immediately she told my sister and she told Brandy. She's like, I'm worried. I think he's spending all the money. And just the way she said it, I'm like, that was for you.
Yeah.
That was for you.
but that speaks for your mom because
Yeah.
you rather say, save it up for yourself, son.
Yeah, but it is a different, like you were saying, like even though you don't have a real job, it's so different now.
Yeah.
And it's the amount of the 3 R's that Nick Khan always talks about: the ratings, the relevancy, and the revenue. Just the industry. We had Timothy Chalamet on here talking about becoming pop culture, and it really is. I mean, you're in the ring, John Cena, you're having this match, ESPN live updates.
Yeah.
And not live updates that felt out of place.
Yeah.
Live updates. Just genuinely where we are in the match. That is a feather in the cap to you, a feather in the cap to John, a feather in the cap to every wrestler who helped start to lay that framework. I don't know if you remember Undertaker. Netflix premiere, just wanted to talk to the whole group.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they had the whole group fully grasped. He was saying this was all we ever wanted, guys. The biggest audience you could possibly get is sitting out there for you. This is all we've ever wanted.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Today, we are excited to introduce a new sponsor to the show, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. They've been fighting for the people for over 35 years and have recovered over $30 billion for their clients. Not only are they one of our new sponsors, they are also the official law firm partner of WWE. And what I love most about Morgan & Morgan is that they are truly for the people. Today, they are coming in hot and want to hook up one lucky fan with 2 tickets to WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas this April 18th and 19th. In addition to the 2 tickets to WrestleMania, our friends at Morgan & Morgan will also be giving the lucky winner $2,000 to help cover their travel expenses to Las Vegas. To enter, all you have to do is text Cody42 to For the People. That's Cody42 to 484-373-6753 and follow the prompts. Don't miss out on your chance to watch WrestleMania 42 live. Just text Cody42 to For the People. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the 48 contiguous United States and DC who are 18 and older. Sweepstakes ends March 29th, 2026. This is a paid advertisement.
Just wanted to point something out. It left my mind.
No, it's all right. I was going to say, speaking
I'm
of
sorry.
just the type of wrestler you are, we always, Ben Brown always will curate a bit of the warehouse here for, of course, behind you. You don't see it, but there's John Cena's Never Give Up shoe.
It just says give up. Very good.
It, yeah.
Very accurate.
It just says give up.
Somebody paid attention to the details. Yeah.
There's a Greco-Roman statue for
Very nice.
your purist style, but then over here we put Handsome Harley Race's T-shirt type robe.
Very nice.
Kowalski. I think the dusty boots are always there. The Kowalski robe because that's somebody that you have been compared to here amongst
Walter.
Walt. Yeah,
Fellow Walter.
yeah,
Walter Kowalski.
yeah. Have you had any interaction with him?
No.
Never.
Never know.
And really, it's just big, tall. I think the work is probably considerably different
Yeah.
in terms of what you have to do.
Different time.
Yeah. Who's somebody you mentioned? Otto, of course, and you're talking about. I feel like it's going to be a different answer. It's going to subvert my expectations on what I'm asking, but was there a wrestler that you wanted to be like, or looked up to, or idolized?
Yeah, if I pick one out, it's Stan Hansen.
Stan Hansen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
The man.
Yeah.
Absolute machine.
Yeah.
Like a unlimited gas tank, it always felt like
What
that guy was.
Well, what era of Hansen? Japan?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh.
I only watched Hansen in Japan.
So good.
That's him. Yeah, really good. I think that's where kind of like, because he was like the disruptor, right? Like
Yes.
Like in Japan, everybody just walks calmly to the ring, and him and Brody as well. They would come,
Yeah.
swing whatever they got, and create chaos. And yeah, maybe that's where the whole inspiration came from.
Yeah.
Of like you gotta be disrupt a little bit.
The reason I asked about Hansen era, Hansen throughout Japan is unbelievable, and like you said, unlimited gas tank, just a machine.
Yeah,
and in there with other machines. But there's also that era of Hansen where he's wrestling Bruno.
Yeah,
and an era that I don't think like the longer hair Hansen. That
yes,
it's fun to see because he had that as a base, the ability to bump around and move around and do things. He had that as a base as he moves forward into his career in Japan. Just when he went into the Hall of Fame, I was very, very excited.
Oh, me too. I remember that actually. It was really
yeah.
cool that they did it, but obviously it's like in the WWE picture, he's not the most known guy.
Yeah.
But also when they had like Inoki inducted, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. When I met Inoki, I was probably 7, 8, I'm not sure, but the way I was explained to say hello to Inoki, and I was taught, you would have thought I was meeting a foreign dignitary.
Yeah.
It was a government type moment, just because of the respect and just Inoki's another great Hall of Famer. But,
funny side note, actually, he's the guy that brought Tabasco to Japan.
The hot sauce?
Yes.
Okay, walk me through that.
Maybe it's not true, but
I think this is real. It's real now.
But I've been told that everybody says that apparently he was the one that got Tabasco to Japan.
Once he comes to the States,
because he went to Mexico,
gets Tabasco, and
or
then
from the States or whatever.
Yeah, and then says we have to have it.
No, I guess it was to make money and just.
Oh my gosh, I believe this actually.
Selling it to everyone.
I mean that era too of Carney. Even when you're not Carney, like we're gonna sell this overseas.
Gotta have a little side hustle.
Yeah.
But if anybody watches that, I guess maybe they can correct me. But I've heard that story numerous times from different people. So Tabasco,
pro wrestling, they should be grateful to the squared circle for Inoki. I mean, government, Senate, I believe, in Japan. He was
in politics.
Genuinely in politics, and then the great videos that are
you're not going to be the first one when you run for senator.
I do have it on it is on my wish list of things. I'll look at Inoki and see.
I can see that. I told you that before, I think.
Yeah.
I said you got to be the senator of Georgia.
I would love it. I would love it.
See that.
Georgia has a couple seats that kind of come up, and I always look at it and think,
I mean, you can do it after or something, but it's also I think politics has a very bad image for, I guess, good reasons too, but it's also absolutely necessary that people that already achieved something and decide to be like, hey, I want to service the community at the end of the day.
That's really what it all should be.
Yeah, and I think the wrestling world will prepare you well, because I guess as a politician, what you can expect is you're going to be hated by everybody. Everybody will have something to say about you.
Roman Reigns called me a politician one time, and I remember thinking, I'm not mad at that. Yeah. I grew up in the business.
Yeah.
Everyone is to a degree, but to me, there's politics, there's posturing, and then there's snaking and backstabbing. And like one of the great things about you as a peer and a wrestler and someone in the locker room, just straight up. And I think a lot of guys in our modern roster are straight up.
Yeah.
This is what I think is better.
I agree.
This is what I think isn't. Let's talk about it. Someone's making a decision, but the opinion's been weighed.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can smell when you get around the ones today that are this is going to be really good for you. And you can already tell, like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I can tell this isn't even for me. Like, no,
I agree to that.
No,
I agree to that. It's but also like you said it, like it's a cultural thing a little bit too. At least for me, it's like I grew up with, if nothing said is good, you only told bad things.
Yeah,
that's how I grew up. So I still struggle with, like, I don't know. That's why I'm not as good as maybe sometimes being complimentary
Yeah.
or something like that, also receiving it. And I think, but being also the upside of that, being straightforward is good because it gets you where you want to go quicker, I feel like. But also on the other hand, I had my experiences over here too, but maybe it was too direct. I don't know.
No, I think you're
Maybe that was too direct.
maybe, but I still think you're so much better being direct. And I tell the kids at the school all the time, every day is a little battle. There's something that's against you every day, small thing. It could be the smallest of thing, the order of entrances. For
Yeah, for sure.
All you got to do is weigh your opinion. Someone else is making the call.
Yeah.
Someone else is going to make the call, but if you weigh your opinion, it's far better than if you're stewing and getting angry about it as you go, and then you build it up. You know all that.
I agree with that. But touching back on being complimentary, I want to put you over with something because you came to WXW back then, right?
I did, yeah.
And
I did the tournament.
We were in the phase of like we really wanted to get to a place. And I think when you came, we were already we were running close to 100 shows a year, and had a few people employed and stuff like that. And we wanted to refine everything we did. And maybe you remember that I pulled you aside and asked you hey, explain to me, how does this work? How does this work? How does this work in WWE? And you gave me the whole rundown. Of everything, which
I was away from WWE at the time, obviously.
But you were there and stuff, but you had way more experience than any of us over there. And I was very grateful for that back then because that wasn't the norm with the guys that back then that came over.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get this out.
No, thank you. I felt like people perhaps would expect me to have a negative slant on WWE during that period. And a lot of the people I would talk to were going.
Yeah.
So I'd give them the full, no, hey, this is great. I had wrestled Drew McIntyre, his last match before he came back. And I remember that was always something I was so glad to do because I was trying to do something completely different out on the independent scene for me. I was trying to find something different, build a brand, build something that was outside of any company almost. And I needed that. WWE, I mean, we're in the hallowed halls of the warehouse, but it was the house that built me.
Yeah.
So all of these experiences I'm giving it to you from my perspective at WWE, good and bad. And now we work in the best version of WWE that it's ever been.
I agree to that.
Yeah.
I would say it's very.
You got a complaint?
No, I don't have any complaints.
They're you can put them out here. You know?
No. Surprisingly, if I have a complaint, they know.
Yeah, see.
But I would say so. I feel like often, once you get used to something, you don't see it for what it is. But I think I just talked about this at some media thing I did. It's so how diverse the roster is right now, how many internationals there are, how many different styles of wrestlers there are on the roster and stuff. It's really, WWE always felt like very one direction.
Yeah.
Like that's the way to go. And now I think there's many ways to, where you can go, where you can make it to the top.
Well, speaking of the top and where you go, the most important thing you said about where you're going, and I know I kind of asked you how you felt, and we even talked a little bit about what's next, and maybe you mentioned something growing into the position you have. But right now, the conversation in our industry, all of our industry, is about you. Right now, I don't think he'll mind. I had Marty Miller from production on my bus the other day having a libation or two, and he right in front of me, and I'm on this roster. Said he's the man. He's the man. He kept saying it to the point where I want to be like, all right. Fucking, all right.
Take it easy now.
All right, Marty. All right, but he kept saying it, and I thought, so in that vein, coming onto TV after beating John Cena and letting the world know how you felt, and that, as you said, he tapped out and smiling a great deal, and really letting the whole world know you did what you said you were going to do. How does it feel? Is there someone else in the crosshairs, or are you in the crosshairs of everyone else now? Because again, you may not know this, and I, again, in the spirit of this conversation, straight up, many guys at the ring now look at you and say, cool, I want to be the one to get the receipt. I want to be the one to
to pull the Tyson for Ali. I want to be the one to come back. There's also a whole young generation of people who are mad. They don't even know how to process how mad they are. What's on your plate? Or are you fielding the offers now?
See, no, not really. It's like whoever is there, kind of, and I take it from there. But you touched like on there's a whole younger generation out there too, where it's like, because obviously you review your position in the company and all of that stuff, and it's like, hey, what is there? And obviously there's like Roman that's here for long, and Brock that had that spot for such a long time. And I feel like where I want to get to is like, I don't know, be able to get into that spot.
Yeah.
But then wrestle Ilya in that position.
Sure.
And have great matches with Braun down the line in that position. Have great matches with Oba. There's many more of them. And I feel like that's what I want to get to. I want to be the guy that is going to be able to wrestle all of them, have great matches with all of them.
Yeah.
And kind of like contribute that way. I'm not really a person where, and that's why I like my role and how I do it, where it's like, I don't have that in me to be wanting to be the guy that is at the very mountaintop and everybody looks up to him. And kind of like, so I admire you sometimes for what you do, because I couldn't, man. Like I would not be able to have that much fan interaction, to have that much media interaction and all of that. And you do it really good. And I don't know, that's not for me, but I still want to, I don't know, I want to be at the top, but in a different role and contribute that way.
And it's the wrestling industry. I was taught this many years ago. The reason we shake hands at nauseam backstage is because we need one another.
Oh, we do.
The marquee says two names. John Cena's retirement match wasn't against nobody.
Yeah.
We are relying on one another, and I think we do it differently, but in the spirit of transparency and being the man, hoping that I can be the man, and just wanting to be. However you do it, different or not, good luck to you, and I look forward to it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
That is actually a very tasty drink.
Bailey's a good bartender.
Very good.
And Wheatley American Vodka, we do love them.
So we need one each other, you said, and that's 100% true. I just had an interview too. It's like that whole pro wrestler, sports entertainer, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I'm glad like all the other guys are there, like Jey Uso, or even like John is the way he is and stuff like that. Because otherwise I couldn't exist. Like if everybody would be like me, I wouldn't stand out. Yeah. Then there would be a big issue. So it's good. Yeah. It's good the way it is. And like you said, we need one another. And
I didn't ask about Jay.
Yeah.
Because I won't ask about Jay.
Why?
It's been a pleasant conversation. You and Jay and WrestleMania.
Oh.
It is a moment and spot and position we had not seen you in.
Yeah.
And it's still something that the crowd brings forward.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, and right now you can ride high because...
Right now I can ask, who tapped out now? That's the question. Who
yes,
did?
you can.
Very good. But no, with Jay, like at that moment, that's the thing. I'm not a... How should I say? I can swallow my pride. And when it's over, it's over. I have no issue with that. If the audience used it as weakness, then let them be. It's all right.
Okay.
It is all right.
Nope. Okay.
This isn't about hype or luck. It's about optimization, living stronger, thinking more clearly, and performing better every day. At Game Day Men's Health, that's the standard. Game Day Men's Health helps men improve testosterone, energy, and performance with real testing and face-to-face visits. They help men reach their full potential with science-backed care, from testosterone optimization to peptide therapy and performance support with personalized treatment plans. With over 400 clinics across North America, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered. No long waits, no online guesswork. When life demands you be at your best, every day is game day. Learn more or book your visit at GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Good friend of mine and probably John Cena's, I think they even did a little package describing this, but kind of the Gordon Soley
how Gordon Solie was to Dusty Rhodes is always how Michael Cole has been to John Cena. The analysis, the announcer, the commentator, and the wrestler itself. I'm curious, did you hear his comments on commentary upon you defeating John Cena? Did you hear what he said?
I did, yes.
And he said, correct me if I'm wrong, he said sports entertainment is dead.
Or is that pro wrestling beats sports entertainment?
Pro wrestling beats sports entertainment. Do you feel a certain way about that?
Yeah, thought it was really cool. It's like because my whole time before WWE, the whole moniker of the group back then, Ringkampf, was always like against sports entertainment, with professional wrestlers.
Yeah,
that whole spiel. So to actually see that making it to this moment, that was very what's the word for it? It was a big confirmation.
Yeah,
for myself.
Validation.
Validation.
You were validated.
Is the word. Yes.
Will the sports entertainment get to try again?
They will. I bet they will try again.
Yeah.
Because I'm the only pro wrestler here. So I'm just joking.
There it is.
Just joking.
Absolutely. This blood, sweat, and causing tears brought to you by Wheatley American Vodka, which they're on fire lately. Myself and Wheatley, we like to think of ourselves as the American dream team, the bottles, the bus, all the fun stuff. And the question becomes, who is on your dream team? And I'll go ahead and say, don't feel like you got to pick 3, 4, 5. We've kind of kept it as maybe a War Games team.
Okay.
If you want to limit the numbers, because we've also had animals and whole sports teams, and people have taken this question and really run with it. Who is on the Ring General Gunther's team?
So stick to a team of 5? War games?
That's fine. We'll
Let's
do that.
War games.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So obviously Kaiser.
Yes.
I would take Ilya.
Okay.
It's 2 more, right?
It's a real international affair.
Is
right now.
it actually like what are we talking? Like right now or overall?
No, you're overall.
Okay.
The makeup of you.
Would still go with those 2.
Yeah.
I have to take Kenta Kobashi.
Oh my gosh, this is a great team.
And the last one, I would say Stan Hansen, but then on the other hand, I'm already there. We don't need another.
You don't think you need to?
We don't need another big guy. We need somebody different.
Wow, well, you're decisive. Okay.
Yeah.
Discerning and okay.
Yeah, I think I would maybe take Fit Finlay.
Oh wow. So Fit, Ilya, Marcel, you, Kobashi.
Yes.
Wow.
That's us.
It's a great team.
I think
That
so.
is that is they're not doing many jobs, if any.
I think it would be a good team at the bar after too. So
It is a solid bar team as well. Very solid. Speaking of the bar, our friends at Wheatley have this jingle, and I'm gonna have you watch it, and I will ask if you can replace one of the words in it.
oh my gosh.
We've had some great answers, non-answers, all the things, but the jingle is beautiful. Here you go.
This good as an American jewel. Wheatley's so good, I drink it neatly.
So Wheatley's so good.
I drink it, and instead of neatly, what would you replace the word neatly with?
You just asked the least creative guy in that room.
Well, one thing that's a little, I wouldn't say hack, a little thing you can always do is you speak multiple languages. You could provide something that we all, as Americans in this room, think, oh, that was the sexiest thing I ever heard, and who knows what it means.
Yeah, sadly, I speak German, not French. German doesn't sound very sexy. Wheatley is so good.
I drink it
Weekly.
weekly.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think it's a good balance. Sends a message for balance as well.
Yeah,
Not
this is
every
something
day.
you're doing weekly. It's not every day.
Yes.
Yeah, if the doctor asks you how often are you having Wheatley,
Weekly.
it's weekly.
It's so good, I drink it weekly. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, on what do you want to talk about? Round of applause, Gunther.
Thank you.
You good?
Yes, all
Dude,
good.
so much fun.